Thank you all. As you all know, the International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy is conducting regular webinars since 1,130 days. And today we have a guest from Canada, Dr. SADAF ULDE. She has been practicing since last 15 years, and she has completed her BHMS, and then she had fellowship in psychiatry. She's the director of Health uh, Satya Foundation and Binary Intuition. And she is a teaching faculty at the other Song Mumbai. As you all know, she has presented so many clinical cases in this forum, and she has presented so many subjects in different forms, and she is one of the person who has presented a very large number of presentation in the early part of our sessions. And we are proud to have such a wonderful person this evening to talk about some of her clinical experience. Dr. Sadaf Ulda, you are welcome to the stage. Welcome, doctor. You can.
Thank you, Dr. Danesh. Thank you, Dr. Danesh. And I'm pleased to see you all once again. And so today, without wasting much time, my today's topic is clinical experiences in my practice. We all know, like a week ago, we lost one of the pioneer teachers of homeopathy. It was very shocking news for each one of us. And he was one of the founder of Other Song in International Academy of Advanced Healing. And his name was Dr. Sujit Chatterjee. We lost him battling his disease, but his spirit was so high that when this news came very shocking, because there is a master course program going on at Other Song, and one of my colleagues was interacting with him to set up an lecture. And till his last, he was teaching, he was treating his patients. One of my colleagues who's still in India was following up with his patients, called him up and asked for the guidance, and he was still there. So I would like to dedicate my today's session to my teacher. I request everyone to have a 5 minutes silence for him, for a great soul that has left us, to pray for the strength of his family. He has left behind his wife and only daughter, who might be just 20 to in between 20-25 years of age. So a 5 minute silence to respect his teachings, to respect his contributions in homeopathy, respect his contribution as a doctor, as a teacher, as a father, as a human being. Okay. So the reason why I am putting so much emphasis on his teaching is because I started off my career, I started off my journey at Other Song being a resident doctor to him. And he taught me what it is to be not only a good doctor, but also a good teacher. And, we say that when I hear, I listen. When I see. But it is when I do, is that when I learn. And he was a teacher who didn't make me sit just beside him and say, okay, just copy paste what I am doing, or just be okay with what I am doing. He gave me space to question his teaching. He gave me space to make my own decisions. And hence, he will be always remembered. And the only way to give gratitude to his teachings and to give gratitude to all that he has done is by taking forward the torch, by taking forward what he taught me and giving it to people so that it helps you in your cases. And one of his major dream was to help people who are suffering with cancers, people who are suffering with autoimmune disorders. And we will see, like, I don't know how many cases in a day of people suffering from cancer, chronic renal failures, and autoimmune disorders together. And that's when he introduced me to certain concepts. Okay. So, we will try with it. Now we know cancer as a disease is widespreading. It's scary for the patient and the family. It's traumatic. Number three, we still do not have a definitive cure, even though chemotherapy, radiotherapy, immunotherapy, surgeries are what people talk about, but yet they come with side effects. Many homeopaths do claim that they have cure for cancers, and um, the miracle can be expected. And of course, there are some teachers who have done great work, like one of my co-teacher, Dr. Sunirman Sarkar or Parashanto Banerjees or many other. But when I sat with Dr. Sujit Chatterjee, sir, and we saw cases together, we will see cases which were terminally ill and towards the end stage of the disease. It used to be challenge, and it used to be that well-selected remedies will fail despite of, taking minutest detail of the patient, making sure that it's repertorized, it's the materia medica, the sensation, everything is correlated. There will be remedies that will fail. And then he will go and find a remedy. He will go and see if he could prove more remedies. And he did some amazing provings in his lifetime of uranum nitrate, ficus indica, ficus religiosa as a remedy with regards to the mental symptoms, etc. He will also make sure that if a person showed reaction to some remedies, can we prepare new remedies? And he will prepare new remedies. He will ask, like I remember there was one patient who developed sensitivity to a particular drug, and he made sure he could procure that drug and prepare and gave it to Dr. Shrikant Chaudhary in Calcutta, and prepare that remedy and gave it to the patient. So he will not limit himself to 30 polycrest remedies. He will not limit himself to what we know. He will go and travel unknown. Like being a sensation practitioner, being a classical practitioner, we often get hooked on to give one remedy, wait and watch. But then, if he will not see a result, he will go and he will see if any mother tincture, any rescue, any bat flower remedy, or any other organ specific remedy could help. And he was among one of those teachers who introduced Burnett into my life. He was one of the teachers who introduced teachings of Grimmer into my life. There are some gem of the textbooks that we don't refer to. There are some, we with a modern homeopathic practitioner is so busy proving that homeopathy can do miracle that they have forgot to search the truth. And I think that, and they forgot to experiment and forgot what Hahnemann told us, that hold that what is truth, prove everything that is right. And that's what he will do every day. He will try to learn something new, try to incorporate something new. Very recently, I had one patient of chronic leukemia, and he was constantly losing his WBC cells and platelet counts. And His platelets were continuously low, and whatever best of remedies I was giving, the patient was not getting better. He came up with a very interest. So I went to him and I consulted and asked him, so this is this patient, and somehow I'm stuck with this case. What do I do? And he came up with an extremely rare remedy which really helped the patient. I'll tell you the name of the remedy. It's a bit complicated, but it did wonders to the patient. Just give me 1 sec. I'll share with you the name of the remedy. I'm sorry. So this patient was suffering from plasma myeloma, an extensive disorder despite of every remedy that was given to him, despite of bone marrow transplantation, immunotherapy, etc., etc. This patient was not responding, and that's when Sir initially gave him Diospirus kaki. Diospirus kaki as a remedy. That was the first remedy that was given to him. And this remedy was proved by Jeremy Sher. It's a tree, Crevel kaki tree. The main thing about this remedy is it looks very closely. If you see the symptoms superficially, this remedy looks like bryonia. Okay, you feel like when I went on with this case, I was very sure that this is a bryonia case. It is a tree. Diospirus kaki in Nagasaki is a symbol of world tree. Okay, it was related a lot to the war. Okay, it has themes of war, and it gives a lot of strength, and hence this particular remedy has very much impacted by plutonium bombing, okay, which happened during World War II. Okay, it stands, and despite of everything that got destroyed, the tree did not get destroyed. Okay, and this tree became the symbol of survival and hope. And hence, Jeremy Sher and many other teachers found that, and that was Dr. Sujit Sir's experiment also, that this remedy, when you have a bryonia like picture and you're very sure about it, okay, and it's cancer, the one remedy that he used was Diospyria kaki because it has the effect of plutonium, which is used in the actinide for the bombing, and it has the tendencies and its effect on the cancer cells. Okay, so this was one of the remedies that he used, and then later he introduced many remedies which were like otherwise we will not use it, and it really helped the patient from various aspects. So this is one of his style of practice. And coming back to the topic, okay, I'm getting notification of people wanting to join, so shall I take a note of it, or there's somebody is looking after it? Okay, so one thing was dealing with such cases, another is proving. Third is use of remedies like actinides and lanthanides. So, like I said, he would always go and rem into which, not just limit yourself, cancer, carcinosin, cancer, scirinum. He will go above and beyond to find newer remedies that can help the patient. He used red remedies, but although he was trying to find new remedies, although he was trying to soar high, he would always get back to his basics, basic materia medica, repertory, basic books like Kent, Boric. He was an avid reader of Boric materia medica. Careful investigation was something that he really believed in. He will always tell me that remember that we are humans and we are not God. So we are just the facilitator of cure. And it's not, don't let a good patient or a good um, outcome make you believe that you are, you are the one who's going to cure everything. That's not possible. You are just the one who's going to facilitate through. Okay, you're just an instrument. So always be humble about it and put realistic expectation on yourself, and also give that expectation to the patient. Once, we often come across this situation in our practice where patients come and tell you that, can you guarantee the cure? Can you tell me that especially people with desperate illness want to hear that you are going to cure it all, and it's going to be like a magic wand, and all the disease is going to go away. And he warned us from doing that. He's like, we try our best, but we do not guarantee that, because some diseases like cancers can have a very outward turn. And if you put in a promise which is, which may not come true, will not only be disappointing the patient, but you will also be disappointing a lot of things, and you'll get stuck into a lot of issues. And that's how he said that whenever a patient will ask you, especially with the terminal illnesses, what you can do, always promise a better comfort, better care, and tell with transparency what is the result. At max, you will lose a patient, but you will go to bed with a satisfaction that you did what is right. He was always open, even at this age. Like I remember one of our patient, we had a very severe case of a psoriasis, and the case was with the whole body of this patient looked like a tomato, along with scaling. It was red, it was full of scales. He was a 20 years old gentleman, full of scales of psoriatic eruptions, red like tomato, and he had weird warts. And he was treated by various homeopaths with various remedies. And finally, the case was dealt with our team, that is Dr. Sujit, sir, myself, and we had one more doctor in our team, Dr. Manish. And when we three sat together with this case and we did the case work, and we gave him the first remedy, that is leprominium. Okay. And the patient did wonderful. But in the follow-ups, the psychotic tendencies came up very strongly. And he asked, and there were a lot of things that were going. We repeated the dose of leprominium quite frequently, and patient was not doing better. And that's when I took a retake. And I went and I did my studies in chronic. I picked up, those days I was studying chronic disease by Dr. Hahnemann. And I came up with a line in chronic disease where Hahnemann said how he treats diseases with multiple miasms. okay, the complex diseases. And he spoke about addressing the dominant miasm and then with an antipsychotic, and then going back to the different layers of the miasm. And I showed this presentation, and during that time, with other song and with the sensation group, the practice was only of one remedy, and giving a remedy like an anti-miasmatic was not well taken by the teachers there. But when I showed him the proof, and when I showed him that, sir, this is what I learned, he didn't have this ego that I'm a teacher and how do I take it from a student. He just accepted it and he said, okay, let's give and see what happens. And next day, the patient came miraculously with all warts gone, and his skin improved. And that's when we gave him another remedy. And ultimately, this chap was suffering from this erythematous psoriasis for I don't know how many years, since his childhood, with so much traumatic impact on the body, on the mind. Not only got better with his skin, but got emotionally healed. He will never get out of his house, started working, got a job, and finally got married and sent us. He did send us an invite for his wedding also, saying that look how you guys have changed and impacted the life. So that's what was more important. And these teachings I take every time in my life, that be open to learning and respect. Maybe your style of practice is not what is my style of practice, and you may not agree with what I do, but be open to the learning. Be open. Maybe there will be one case that you are struggling with, and you will then see that, okay, this remedy worked. This remedy had an impact, which I saw over there. And that's how you can do better in your practice. Okay. Now, with this ode to him, I'd like to move to the next set of my presentation is with a case example. Just give me one sec. Okay. So, like I said, one of the most important thing is experimenting, and learning is the key in the clinical practice. With this, we'll move to the next set, and I like to share a simple case, or it's not actually a simple case, but it was one of the case that I had did few years back, and this case was an of small cell carcinoma of lungs, 80 years patient. He was a known case of COPD. Just 1 minute, I just put it into a slideshow. He was a known case of COPD. He had suffered from tuberculosis twice, followed by diabetes. He was on allopathic treatment. Later, he off and on had cold and cough, which most of the time doctors will say that it's once he got treated falsely for tuberculosis, sometimes they will treat him because of his COPD. But over later, they found out that this was a small cell carcinoma. Now, this disease had a severe impact on him, but on his physical health. But what he described is that despite of the disease and his chemo, he underwent chemo, he underwent radiation, and he was not getting any better. He was only getting worse. But even though all this thing was happening, he never left his work. Even while his chemo was going on or radiation was going on, he was very dedicated. And his family described that He pushes himself. Even if the illness is at the worsened point, he will push himself above and beyond to take care of his responsibility. He never keeps himself first. He will not take care of himself, but for him, the staff, the family members, the work always came first, and he will go above and beyond to make sure that he carries out his responsibilities on time. When we asked him to describe about himself, he described himself as an independent, self-made man who started from nothing and now is the owner of a huge empire. His family said he's very strong and he will not go to the doctor unless things are out of control. In so many years of my life, he said, I never took a sick break. Even now, when I am hospitalized and with chemotherapy, radiation, I am not taking a break. He had long paroxysmal cough and he will get breathless. And there were a couple of incidents where he lost his balance. He got unconscious while coughing. He cannot lie on the left side where the tumor is. He read, now during this time, so he was having a factory in pharmaceutical industries. So he likes reading old books. He has read a lot. He was an avid reader, voracious reader. He would read a lot of different books. He will read books related to law, pharmacopoeia, etc. He was very fond of homeopathy and he has read extensively about homeopathy, but he will never self-medicate himself because he said that that's not my forte. I'm not a doctor, so I should not. I just read books out of interest, and because I'm into the pharmaceutical industry line, I deal with chemicals. I wanted to read and have knowledge about it, but I never medicate myself or my family by myself. I always send them to a good homeopath and not practice by myself. I know my responsibilities. I know what I am meant to do. So he was, and I'm very conscious. So he was with this strong sense of conscience of right and wrong, good and bad. Like he will not let anything go out of his hand. He loved singing. He loved writing things. He loved presenting. And so even when he will prepare for he was somebody who will not go anywhere unprepared. So also to just give an introduction about, when we say we observe the patient. So this was one thing we observed about him, that when he entered our office, he entered with a lot of dignity at the reception, at the front desk. His interaction with the front desk was with a lot of respect, and he greeted them. He came in dressed, primed, and proper, with all his file arranged well. And as soon as he came, he was reverent to Sir. And before presenting the case, in a very minutest detail, he explained his condition, his medication, and he was well read and he came prepared. He went on the website, he came prepared, reading about a lot of other things and reading about homeopathy, reading about us, how do we operate. And he presented the case in a format as if he was a presenter, okay, like in a very proper, prim and proper method. He says that whether it is accepting a tender, whether it is sending out my application for a tender or signing a tender, I will not do it randomly. I will do it by preparing myself. So he will do a thorough research. He will read all the books. He will do proper research. He will prepare himself. He will look into the good, the bad, the right, and the wrong of the particular tender. And then he will sign or apply for a tender. He will not blindly, just because it will bring in money, he will not blindly sign any tender. He says, I will not argue with anybody. He was somebody who will not get into arguments, he will not get into any discord, especially if he has no knowledge about it. So, for example, he said that when his treatment started, before he could reach out to his doctors in oncology, he himself studied about his disease. He researched all the possibilities. Okay. And he researched what is his disease, what is the scope, what is the limitation. He said, even I have studied about how much homeopathy can help me, how much it is not. So if I come to you, I don't come to you blinded by somebody's referral. I come to you with my proper research and study and understanding of what you can give me and what you cannot. I never challenge anyone that this is right or this is wrong. I will try to find it out. If I'm not satisfied, so for example, when I'm reading, I'm preparing for something, and if I'm searching for an answer, I'm reading a book, I don't get an answer, I will go to a new book. If the new book doesn't give me an answer, I will go above and beyond to see different editions of that book. I may also go to the older. So, in that way, he has different editions of books with him, and he will make his research very thorough before going ahead. In his life space of situation, he said, my parents passed away when I was very young. I came to Mumbai without any support. He came up in life, and now, without any support, he struggled, and now he has many company. A complete workaholic, self-made man. He said, and then we said, what were the qualities that made you that? So he said, I was somebody who will never give up. I stood firmly. With that, he makes this hand gesture of firmly. He lost his wife, he raised his son, they made them capable. He says, whenever I make a decision, I am firm with it. I don't get bothered by situation. So before taking homeopathy or starting treatment with you guys, I made sure that I did my research. I made my column of pros and cons. And then when I have now decided, nobody can take me here and there with whatever happens. I follow what my heart says. And my decisions, once I take, come what may, I stand by it. I don't get wavered out by anybody's influence because my decisions are made after a careful investigation. Once I take a step, I don't believe in thinking and deciding. I believe in deciding and making it a success. So once I take a step, I will complete it. There's no step back from it. I will keep pursuing hard for what I want. I never give up till the end. No looking back now. And in all this journey, I always had a divine guidance with me. I did a lot of hard work and was very firm and spiritual. And again, he gives a hand gesture of firm. I never asked anyone for help. I did everything by myself. When asked about his worst situation in life, he laughed. And the son describes that in period of 1985, when his wife was not well and eventually she died, at the same time, he had a several financial loss where all the asset, even the house was about to be sold, and even daily basic necessity was difficult to meet. But in those situations also, he worked and worked and worked and did not show any sign of panic, stress, or pressure. In fact, he was handling all the situation. Like he said that some of my family members, relatives came up and told him, "Oh, tumse nahi hoga, just give it up. It's time that you give it up. You don't bother yourself with so much." But he didn't listen to them. He never gave up, he never panicked, and he kept working very hard. We asked this to patient and asked him to describe. He said, there's only one thing. I never lose hope. If I am in a situation and I decide that I want certain things to happen, I will be firm, I will be determined, and I will be hopeful that I will come out of it. Working hard and trying different ways. If one way doesn't work, I'll pick up another way. Whatever it comes to, I never give up. And I told my relative that till the last drop in the ocean, I will fight my situation. I was always good to people, whether it's my employees, whether it's my subordinates, whether they are my superiors. I was always good to them. And then the son said, yes, he takes care of his employees like his own kids. He takes good care of them. And that is the reason why even they stand for him despite of difficult situation. He says that I am somebody with a good energy, and because I am honest, I am responsible, I have some good connection. With that, my circle kept on increasing. My key to my success is hard work, study, try to find what is best, which can be done. I never give up. I fight. I'm determined. And next important is I do everything with a good plan of action, organizing, building my team. You should be there. You work hard and let your people know that you are also working hard. So you set up example. I never treat them like a worker. I do it as my own work, and then they follow me. They follow me by example because I have done better. So this was more or less the case. So what do we understand from this case? What was the most important thing? The most important thing that came up in this case was his need to endure and persevere, a very strong sense of responsibility, need to be strong, firm, and determined. So the remedy we gave him was osmium 30 201 m in plusing potency. Okay, 3 times a day for 3 days. So about this remedy is from row 6, column 8. Okay, the row 6 issues being of responsibility, leadership, need of power, and ability to withstand high pressure. The attack at this level 2 is of very high degree. So when you are at row 2, you are like a baby who needs to be cared, who needs to be nurtured. Row 3, you develop your identity, your choices. I like this, I like that. Okay, I am this. So the name, hence you have natrium, you have magnesium, where they come with the identity crisis. Alumina, natrium, your head belongs to others because they don't carry their own identity. And they look up to somebody to make a choice, to make decisions for themselves. They're happy with love, nurturing, care, choices, little bit of ego developed, and they're happy with that. And also, you will see the diseases that develop at this level are more related to skin, nutrition needs, like deficiencies, like hair fall, skin tendencies, allergies, simple diseases. But as you go further, row 2 is mostly you will find a lot of psychiatric disorders coming in that because they're like this baby who has no ego at all and everything penetrates and everything is so strange for them. They need to be in the womb of the mother. And the womb of the mother is what they want. I remember a 65-year-old man coming to me, and he was a working CEO of a company, but his whole issue was he felt unsafe, and that's the reason why he went into depression. And then he gave a complete womb experience and wanting to be in the womb. But as you go further, like when you go to fourth row, this row is about protecting your family, protecting yourself, development of right and wrong, good and bad. It's like the stage when you're gone to school and you're disciplined, where you're taught about what is right, wrong. The fears get incorporated, fear of punishment, guilt. The sense of guilt comes in row 4. Okay, they want they need the basic necessities like food, clothing, shelter, finances, health. That's the issue. Basic money, day-to-day living. These are the workers of day-to-day life. And as you go further, you get creative people like the actors, the performers, the presenters, the managerial level, where you have to be creative, where you have to be in a certain, you need to have a research, you need to learn and dive into new things and experiment and get into new. But when you go to row 6, it is the line of leadership responsibilities. So now just food, clothing, shelter is not enough. Now the ego is developed so much that you need power. And hence, if you see, this is the remedy where a lot of syphilitic tendencies come up. In row 5 and row 6, they are heavy metals. So you have to, and major metals fall under row 5. Some you see in row 4, like zinc, zincum metallicum, ferrometallicum, are in 4th row, cobalt. But in row 5 and row 6, you have heavy metals like gold and silver, platinum and palladium. Row 5 is palladium line or silver line, and row 6 is the gold line. So you have gold, you have platina falling under this line. So here the question comes of how you can handle the capacity, how you can handle the leadership, how you can handle responsibility, how much can you resist high pressure. There's no longer challenges, there is no longer creativity. It's no longer about food, clothing, and shelter or health. It's about how can I prove myself to a larger group. And that is row 6. And the intersection, so you have rows and then you have columns. And then in the column 8, you have this need to resist high pressure. The column 8 is just the column of ferrum or the ferrum series, where you need to resist, you need to be firm, you need to endure, you need to be tough. Okay, so perseverance in handling responsibilities, perseverance in going against that is not okay for your company or for your people or for your kingdom. You go against resistance, pressure, opposition, you stand firm up to your responsibility. No one can shake you. You do not submit to pressure. Okay, that's row 6, column 8, and you have the remedy osmium metallicum in this. Okay, this was his PET scan before treatment. This is after. So yes, this is the case. And what we learn from this case is that higher the disease travels, deeper the disease, deeper the syphilitic diseases, you will need more syphilitic remedies. You will need, so in every disease, you just don't see the mind aspect, or you are not just focusing on the body, you focus on the total. Okay. Also, such diseases like small cell carcinoma or any of these diseases, there's one thing to show before and after, but this before and after does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 3 months, 4 months. It takes years. Okay. It takes a lot of different steps that you need to take. And that's what we learn in our day-to-day practice, that these cases, then there are a lot of challenges. Sometimes what happens is the patient gets physically and mentally better, but the pathological reports do not change. And that's when you introduce a lot of different remedies in practice. So it's never an easy road to take up these cases and to blindly.
We need some time more discussion, so I think we can conclude now.
Yeah. So we have to go above and beyond in this particular diseases to help them. Okay. I will not say cure them, but help them with the diseases, especially cancers, autoimmune disorders, and the pathological conditions like complete renal failures, etc. Okay. So this is one of my experiences with pathological cases and my experiences learning from Dr. Sujit. So that's it.
The wonderful presentation. In fact, no other words to describe a man with 80 years of age and with carcinoma, and it is resolved with medicines, with single medicine. That's the most important and interesting thing, and it showed how much effective it is and what the magnitude of effort we need to take in order to cure each and every case. The Hahnemann principles are very much there. That is relevant and practical, not at all fancy. Time for discussion. Those who would like to participate, please go to the participant list and raise your hand. You mentioned about the first one medicine, which was that medicine that wasn't there in the screen sharing. That was not there. The one medicine is set the first case. Please unmute. You are muted now.
Diasporic kaki. And write the name of the remedy. So on the chat.
Yes.
That was just a very impromptu case. So it's not on the presentation. Diasporic. It just came to me because early morning, like I just spoke to that patient and.
Yes, it is better to put in the chat box.
I have put it in the chat box.
Yeah.
So there's a very less reference about it. There is, I think, you will find the symptoms of it incomplete, and it's one of the Jeremy Shares proving. So you can go to Shares reverse repertory and you can get a lot of information about this remedy. You can obtain this remedy from Helios, and yeah, it might not be available in India. You will have to get this remedy from Helios or Remedia Pharmacy.
Which pharmacy? Would you please repeat?
Helios.
Okay.
Helios Pharmacy, or you can, what do you say? Remedia Pharmacy.
Yes, the name you are not put in the chat box.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Yes, yes. Dyspori, Diasporic kaki. Okay. Yes. Yes.
So these are the two pharmacies where you can obtain this remedy. So yeah.
Okay, now it's Dr. Dhanesh. Yes, Dr. Dhanesh.
Yes, Dr. SADAF ULDE, it's really a very good session from you. And the International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy also have the uses this opportunity to say our condolence as well as our prayers to the beloved Dr. Sujit Chatterjee. Really, it was a big loss. Then once you describe about him, then only we had such a big personality he was. Anyway, we, on behalf of International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy, we are all praying for him. This is what I would like to add.
Yes. Doctor, the first case is the plasma myeloma, isn't it?
Pardon?
The first case was plasma myeloma. Am I right?
Yeah, plasma myeloma.
Then the second case is a small cell carcinoma. Okay. Wonderful presentation. Now, Dr. Sergi, are you there? We would like to hear from your comments, Dr. Sergi.
Yes, hi. And I'm here and I'm very happy to hear this two really brilliant case, and congratulate Dr. SADAF. I'm very happy, and I have a patient, osmium patient, in very little child, and he has juvenile diabetes mellitus, and I use it before, and really appreciate it. And I'm very happy to hear your cancer patients and very easily handle him. Thank you so much. And I don't know diasporic kaki. I read about them, and I have needs. I'm really, I know that I need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, Dr. Ram Pravesh. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Sadal Madam. Very nice presentation, an excellent session, good experience, beautiful experience, and clinical case carcinoma, and teach according to law of homeopathic science. Very nice, excellent session. Thank you, madam. Thank you. आइए हमेशा आइए. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Ram Pravesh is a regular participant. Yes. Very positively, always waiting, watching with a lot of patience. That's the most important thing. You just said about your teacher, mentioned about we are not humans, but not God, but human. Then should have a realistic approach. Then we must open to learning. These are the most three important things I think is a real teacher. If anybody would like to participate, Dr. Hariharan sir, are you there? What is your opinion, Dr. Hariharan sir? Hariharan sir, are you there? He's not there. That's the problem of this Zoom session. We don't know who is there, who is not there. We expect everybody is listening or trying that, but Hariharan sir, are you there?
I don't think so. He's there. I don't see his name in participants.
Yes, the participant list is there, but it is not there. So in fact, we must change our vision regarding the pathology and the pathological developments and the scope and limitation of homeopathy. When often we are meeting cases, if we find if we find the remedy, definitely that will cure. But if we don't find the remedy, we will naturally blame it is a limitation of homeopathy. We just quoting about the scope and limitation of homeopathy, and will always talking in all possible options because of our ignorance. That's this failure also often happening. That's the most important thing. Sada, what is your opinion?
Yeah.
I think the teamwork is there in your institute. That is the most important, notable.
That's more important. Yeah. And I think especially with pathological, with the whole homeopathy community, where we are focused on just showing what I can do by my own self, rather if we can get together and have different opinion, different styles together coming up, like different styles of practice coming together with one case and then recording it and making sure that the patient gets better is, I think, more important than just blindly doing whatever you want at your own speed and own space and then losing out on the patient. It's good to ask help, have when you go to some big hospitals or centers with the allopathic facilities, they take opinions.
Yes.
Okay, they send you to neurologists, they send you to different opinions, and then they work together.
Yes.
Symbiosis. I think that's what is more important.
Definitely an intellectual assembling is needed. Yes, of course. Time for this wind up the discussion session. May invite Dr. Tanesh to express a lot of thanks. Dr. Tanesh, please.
Yes, sir. Before telling the vote of thanks, I would like to say tomorrow we will have a session from Dr. Rajat Chattopadhyay, the principal from Calcutta Homeopathic Medical College, and he has presented a session before some 4 days back, and will be presenting the Veterinary Medica part of the same tomorrow. So hope all of you will be there. Anyway, Dr. SADAF ULDE has presented so many sessions in our forum, and today she has